Hey, everybody, this is Rick Seagraves of the Laketown Podcast.
And I'm Matthew Wuollet. We have Jacob Schnabel here with Spilled Grain Brewery. How you doing today?
Fantastic. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming. I will start off by saying normally we like it when people bring samples of what they sell.
I was just going to say, where's the samples?
I know Rick's not a beer drinker, but...
I didn't want to offend Rick.
Hey, fun fact for you. Your wife is very well aware of this. I said many, many moons ago, before you guys started making your own root beer, let me know when you have some on tap. I'll be the first person with a gallon of ice cream to come over.
Yeah.
Anastasia, I have not gotten a phone call yet. What's going on here?
Because they got good award-winning root beer.
Award-winning root beer.
It's
Absolutely.
good. It's good. It compares with the Quit Your Belly Aching from, God, where is it up north? Damn it. I'll come back to that later when I think of it.
There's the
10 o'clock
1919 and stuff.
Of course,
It's kind of similar in taste to that, but
Yeah, a little bit on the sweeter side.
but it's better.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, there's a Minnesota brewing up north. I'm drawing a blank on the name of the city that my wife's grandparents would go up there all the time. They'd bring some back.
Isn't there an old lady who brews it up north?
Yeah, and I'm drawing a blank on the name of the city that it comes
That was
from.
Dorothy Moulter back in the day in the Boundary Waters.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
That's probably about what it was.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, back to beer and Spilled Grain.
Hey, root beer, it's all whatever.
Yeah. So Spilled Grain, it's a little success story here in town.
Yeah, we're doing all right. So.
You do it, yeah. And now your title there is brewmaster, right?
Yeah, I'm the head brewer. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Not amateur or novice anymore, like when you used to live behind me and you were doing it in your garage.
doing it in the garage. Yeah.
A successful brewery with a growing wall of awards, I would say makes I'd call you a professional.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's you guys just picked up. I saw you had you won for your Mexican lager, first place on that.
Yeah, we had a couple Untapped awards, which is kind of like the public rating service that's out there. I guess it's an app. You can go on there and rate beers and check in beers like Yelp, I guess, or something, but just for beers. And yeah, in Minnesota last year, our Shandy and then our Mexican lager were like the number one rated Shandy and Mexican lager in the state of Minnesota last year. So that was pretty cool.
So I'm a novice at all this because I don't do beer.
Sure.
Right? It's an acquired taste. I don't hate those who drink it. It's just not for me. Just like wine.
Fair enough.
What makes a lager a Mexican beer or lager?
Good question. So this is always like the question we get.
I'm sure.
When you're dealing with, the general public and everything, what makes a beer a certain style. And there's really only two types of beer. There's ales and there's lagers.
Yep.
And it's all based upon the yeast that you're using, but there's an infinite number really of styles that you can get into. And so Mexican lagers are kind of a lighter, it's actually a Mexican lager strain, so a yeast strain that is from kind of that South America, Mexico area. Geographically speaking, it was developed there over, the millennia. And so it gives off a little bit of a lime component, which is why limes go very well with like Corona or any kind of the standard
Dos
Mexican.
Equis.
Yep, Dos Equis, exactly. Lagers. So other than that, there's some corn components to it because corn is a huge part of like the Mexican culture. And then other than that, it's kind of just like a European lager, but some base malt, and that's about it. And just easy drinking, let her buck.
It's a great beer.
Yeah. Speaking of the infinite possibilities of what you can do with yeast and water and some other things, I actually have a buddy of mine in Denver.
Sure.
That he is one of the staff members of the Great American Beer Fest
Oh
that
yeah,
they have out there.
Yep, GABF. Yep.
Yep. Yeah,
Yep.
He's tasted some of your beer down there. He says not bad.
Yeah, that's good.
And he is part of a group. It's absolutely comical that they even have this. He and 6 friends go around from brewery to brewery to brewery, and they like reserve a table with their Beer Geeks, I think is the name of them.
Good beer,
where they
yeah.
just review all the different beers of each different brewery, and they like are treated like royalty down there.
Sure,
Which is crazy.
I'm pretty sure I've heard of them. I think they have a website and everything. Yep, and they've built that up, which is absolutely fantastic, and they know what they're talking about. So people follow them and kind of take their advice to heart, and that's cool.
So for what it's worth, he said it's pretty decent.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, and then it's pretty hard to complain when you have all the medals with it too. So.
Yeah, I mean, we're very, very blessed to do what we're doing and to have the recognition.
Yeah.
So,
and then your other, the one that is your highest point. Is that the most awards one you have?
No, I believe it's the Bearded Man, the Old Ale at this point.
Yeah.
I think is the highest. Yeah.
Yep. And what style is that one?
That's it's an English Old Ale, so it's kind of a funny style, and I always tell everybody, I'm surprised it took off the way it did. I kind of brewed that beer for myself in the beginning just because I like that style. I really enjoy English ales.
So that'd be kind of like a Guinness or not like
So
a
explain the
Guinness?
flavor.
So an old ale is, I always describe it as like a jacked up English brown ale. So like kind of your standard brown ale. And then we get into barley wines, which are behemoths of beers. It's kind of right in between those two. So it's got some dark fruit component, cherry, fig, date, that type of stuff. Got some caramel backbone to it. Higher alcohol. I think we're usually in that, I think it's 7.8%. So it's on the upper end.
That'll bite you a little quicker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
They sneak up on you.
They'll sneak up on you. But it was just a fun one I did not long after we opened, and it's just gotten a following locally and obviously been well awarded nationally. And so it's something that the pitchforks and knives and torches come out when we don't have it on tap, which I never would have ever thought that about an old ale, an English old ale style, which you don't see very often in the United States. So it's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, it's fun that you guys keep such a rotating menu there, and you always you'll hop on Facebook and check the menu what you guys post each week, and that's back on the menu. All right,
Yep, that's back.
and
yep.
There's so many good ones and it makes it kind of fun that it is rotating, because then you get to
Well, it's not the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You get that
It
mix
gives you a
of-
reason to go back and see what's there.
That's
Yeah.
kind of our goal. And we, from the beginning, we've always wanted it to be, when you come in, hopefully you find at least one that you like.
The root
You
beer.
may not like them all. Root beer. if you're Rick.
root beer and ice cold water, and
No, I've actually tried a couple of
they've
different
got
ones.
soda
like, I
pop.
think-
They got sodas. And
No, there was was a lemonade something.
Oh, the Shandy.
Yeah,
Yep,
That
our
was
summer.
decent, but I could
Porch
do
swing?
one of those, and that was
Yep,
about
porch
it.
swing. Yep.
yeah,
That
that
was-
porch swing is a good one.
I haven't tried that one.
That's their shandy.
That's the lemon Shandy.
Oh,
Yep.
maybe that's the one I
That's
did try.
it.
Then.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, it tastes like basically like alcohol lemonade. It's pretty. Even though it's a beer.
It was decent, but the beer aftertaste that I got from it, I could do one, and that was about it.
And that was about it. Yep.
Now,
Yep.
last
And
year,
then
you
and then I
guys,
chased it with a root beer. No, I did.
everybody knows you chase beer with root beer, right?
Yeah,
But,
if you're good, you put the root beer with a little bit of Captain in it.
Could be on something
Could be onto
good.
something if
Yeah.
that was legal
Yeah.
for us.
for the
yeah.
brewery. Yeah. Last year, was it last year or the year before, you guys introduced the smoothie or the slush or whatever it was?
Yeah, that was just last year.
That was a hit.
Yeah, huge hit. And me being somewhat of the beer purist that I am, I have to get off my
Was there
high-
some resistance?
Yeah, it's I agreed to brew the base, and then I basically washed my hands of it. At that one, I said, "Do what you want,"
You're like, this is not my child.
pretty much. But I realized tastes are changing, and especially with the younger generation a little bit, they're looking for different options. And we are lucky in the state of Minnesota that we do have a little bit of leeway, not as much as some other states, of what we can offer for alternatives, but we have some. And that the hard seltzer is a great example of different ways we can bring in flavors and gluten-free stuff, and so everybody can kind of still be satisfied when they come. And we're working on some other things for this summer as well. So
Yeah, you had,
Anything you can share?
yeah, so the hard seltzer slushies were obviously a big hit. They'll be back in the next couple of weeks. We had them for Bachfest a couple of weeks
those
ago.
are tasty.
What flavors do you have those in?
I think we usually rotate throughout the year. So we have blue raspberry, we have watermelon, strawberry. I think we're going to try to do like a margarita flavored
you'd
one
probably like it.
this year. Yeah, because I mean,
I have
it's
to have my pinky up for those, or they
Do they come in the bag?
they still come in the bag. So
Okay.
They come in the bag.
bag with a nice straw for you, so
Yeah.
it's easy to take out on the patio and whatever in the summer. But yeah, so we kind of rotate different flavors weekend to weekend, and but yeah, being a hard seltzer, there's no beer flavor in it, so it's very very clean and basically tastes like if you, I guess, poured vodka into a slushy. or whatever.
the alcohol taste isn't really there.
No, it's definitely masked well by obviously the ice and the sugar and everything. But yeah, they're still flirting around 4.5%. So it's like just hanging out with your canned cocktail or something. So
Just can't have too many of them.
yep, can't have too many of them, just like anything else. But so that'll be back, and then we're also working on some more like hard seltzer cocktails. So we brewed kind of a strong batch of hard seltzer last winter, and we were experimenting a little bit during the holiday train with like hard apple cider, which we're allowed to kind of mix and match things at the tap as long as it's our own creation. we can kind of make our own stuff. And so we brewed a hard seltzer that's pushing 10% alcohol. And so our plan is to come up with some more cocktails, like mojito inspired stuff, or, things along that nature, julep, mint julep things, but use that higher alcohol hard seltzer base with some mix-ins and some ice and kind of make more of cocktail related type stuff this summer. So
I could see mojitos going over pretty well.
That's our thought. So,
and that's going to,
especially in January, February, when everybody comes back from their vacation, like, God dang, I just want to grab one more. And they're like, oh, wait a second.
Pina colada, or I just want a mojito, or something.
Well, yeah, so, I mean, that's going to, those things that's going to open you up to people that aren't the beer drinkers.
Absolutely. Yep.
Because, the thing that you hear so much about Spilled Grain is everybody loves the place. I mean, the vibe there, it's nice because it's very family friendly too. Mm-hmm. It's like Sundays you go in there and it's just families.
It's families everywhere. Yep.
And the problem that there's a lot of people like Rick who don't drink beer. So it's always fun. Like when you guys got that smoothie last year.
Those are people who refer to that are wrong in their life.
I agree. No.
I would drop kick you both at the same time.
Yeah. You probably,
no, and it's fun. So the one thing I like to give you a hard time once in a while about it is IPAs.
Yeah.
What does IPA stand for first? I've heard it a billion times. I'd have never heard what it stands for.
So it stands for India Pale Ale is kind of what the acronym is.
Fair enough.
And they're bitter.
They are.
And absolutely. I always think, why would you want to drink a beer that makes you go, this is so good, it's so bitter, this is a great blow. Yeah, and I know you like them, but
probably the same people that grew up eating sour candy.
I don't know. I mean,
you ain't never had a Sour Patch Kid?
I love Sour Patch Kids.
Okay, then shut up about the sour beer.
Well, sours and IPAs are two totally different things.
It's that's a sour. It's bitter.
Do you like drinking like our sours? Is that?
I don't mind them.
You don't mind
Not
them?
my style, but
sure.
Lagers are just a regular, like a normal.
Yep.
Like your Mexican lager.
Yep.
And then your cream ale.
Mm-hmm. Crickets.
It's great. It's great. That cream ale that you guys have is
Should we just let awesome. Rick leave here?
Rick, we're just going to talk beer.
Yeah, I'll go sit outside and wait.
But you guys do have that highest point, and that's one I actually don't mind.
Sure.
And you guys have done really well with that, and that's one. It's kind of fun. You'll see that other establishments in the area too.
Yeah, absolutely. It is.
So I was just about to segue off of your guys' conversation of the kind of beer that Matthew likes and more onto the conversation of what kind of expansion have you guys been doing?
Sure.
What kind of merch, if you will, that you guys have, and kind of how the growth process has been more so than the 300 different beers that Matthew likes.
Well, I like beer.
I was going to say, and I can't blame Matthew for asking, but yeah, highest point is, I mean, it's definitely super popular, and it's a IPA that's more balanced. Like it's when we were first opening up. I mean, Surly is still obviously extremely large in the state of Minnesota, but Furious was really kind of the first Midwestern IPAs they refer to it as, where it had more of the West Coasty hops, like Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, but it had the huge malt backbone or bigger malt backbone or flavor of some of the more English type IPAs, and they really kind of melded that into a new style with Furious, which is I think why it made it so popular so fast. And we were drinking a lot of that at the time, and so we kind of went that direction with that beer. Obviously, completely different hops, and there's been a lot of tweaking with Highest Point over the years that people don't know about or realize. If you do it slowly and kind of play with stuff, it morphs. It has morphed dramatically over the last 8.5 years from where it started originally, and kind of fixed it up. But
I'm going to congratulate you guys. There's not many times I have nothing to say about a topic, and I have literally nothing.
But yeah, it's a fun beer, and it's kind of an old standby. And because of that, the golf courses around town, and sometimes Billy D's and whatnot will have it on tap. So
Chester's at South.
That one
Kimball.
place.
Kimball.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So yep.
No, it's pretty cool. No, you guys have done the taps. You've got a couple of beers that have been circulating. Is there another one that you guys typically send out?
Or is it just the cream ale will go. So Bait and Hook runs down in Cokato. If you guys have ever been there, great place. They run the cream ale exclusively down there. So we're pretty much always on tap. But they've got a patron, a very wealthy patron that goes to Bait and Hook all the time that likes our cream ale, and so they have it on tap for him. And obviously a bunch of other people drink it too, but that's kind of how we got.
Sounds like you got to figure out when he's going to be there and go shake his hand once.
Exactly.
Thank you.
He's drinking kegs of our beer every year apparently. So, but yeah, the cream ale IPA, and then we'll rotate with like Southbrook and stuff with what they're kind of looking for at the time.
Yeah, so. And like Rick was hinting, on merch, you guys got a healthy amount there. And
absolutely, yeah. Anastasia does a great job with that, and we're always looking for what's new. And there's so many vendors out there right now, and
boy, tell me,
yeah, we've got good relationships with a number of them where if they've got something new that's coming in, hey, we think this is going to be popular this season. They'll kind of give us first shot in the area of something. So. And we try to rotate throughout the year and seasonally, and obviously, so we're kind of coming out of our winter stuff right now, and I know she's working on a ton of new stuff for summer.
And that stuff is always so difficult too, because you get your catalog of 150 pages, 25 to 50 things per page.
And then you got to figure out,
and you have to
which one.
Okay,
and then
what is somebody actually going like? So for my business, it's for yours and mine is a little bit different because you're looking at what's going to be the most popular to wear. Mine's going to be what's not going to get thrown away as soon as it gets home.
Sure. That's fair.
But same concept of, you don't want to spend a bunch of money on the things that are not going to be popular or worn. And I definitely don't want to buy stuff that's going to get thrown away.
Right.
It's almost daunting looking at all that stuff.
It really is. It really is. And so it's nice when you can, get samples and show people sometimes. And I know she'll talk to like other breweries in the area, what are you guys doing or what are you looking at? And so that helps a little bit, but
well, then the social media posts definitely help a ton too, because I know that there's been a couple of times I've had my wife has said, "Hey, I stop and grab the sweatshirt or whatever it is that I was getting at the time," and actually I had an associate that doesn't even live in the area. She's like, "Oh, they got these shirts. I need to have one."
I have one.
All right, what size you need? Let me know.
Well, that's great to hear because it's like you like to think that works, but sometimes you don't know.
Yeah, so it's tough to extrapolate that information out of. Did that social media do anything? Same thing with my business. I throw something out there on social media. Did 4 extra people show up because of it?
Right.
You have no idea.
It's very hard to quantify that.
Hope to hang your hat on the fact that it worked.
Yep.
So now let's take it way back to the start.
Mm-hmm.
How did this all happen? So
you were a 5-gallon Gatorade jug in the garage.
Yeah, pretty much. So I
remember it.
I started homebrewing 06, I want to say, give or take, and about 2008, 2009, got pretty serious about it. So we had started a homebrew club that was kind of based out of Annandale. There were a number of us in the Annandale area that were doing it. And then we had actually kind of drawn in quite a few other people from the Wright County, kind of Monticello area, Big Lake, Hutchinson, kind of all over. And Annandale was kind of the epicenter. It was kind of right in the middle of all the guys. We probably had 12 to 15, 16. You guys remember Denny Abernathy back in the day?
Yep, he moved up to War Road.
Yep,
and
now he's down back to St. Michael's. So
yep.
he brewed with us quite a bit back in the day, and a number of other guys around town. And around 2009, Matt and Jeff from kind of the Monticello area, where you may know them, you may have heard of Lupulin, joined our group. They're Lupulin, big brewery out of Big Lake. So Matt and Jeff, the owners, the founders of Lupulin, kind of joined our homebrew club, and then kind of went from there. So the three of us kind of really pushed the group quite a bit. I'm an engineer by education, so I really got into the science of it and the chemistry and why is it doing this? How can I replicate things the same every time? And just kind of really, as Anastasia would say, took it overboard. But obviously it worked out in the end.
Engineers do that about everything.
Yeah,
they really do. It just comes. It's part of your DNA.
It's just we can't help it.
No, it's part of your DNA. It's perfectly fine.
And so we really started kind of pushing each other as a group, making better beer. Homebrew competitions were a really big thing at that time, and so you enter those, get feedback, and that's kind of how this all came around. So there was a big competition up in St. Cloud at the time called March Madness. There was a huge homebrew club up there called the Cloudytown Brewers. And I think it was 2013, maybe it was 2014. Must have been 2014. I'd entered my Doppelbock into that competition along with a bunch of other beers. Well,
so where do you come up with the name Doppelbock?
So that's actually the style. So it means double Bock in German. Okay. So it's basically like a high alcohol version of a kind of a standard Bock beer.
When you said it, it almost sounded like Doppelganger Bock, like you're copying something.
Gotcha.
That's why I asked.
Yep. Similar concept, still means double, which is where Doppelganger comes from. But yep. So Doppelbock, so double Bock. and ended up winning the best in show, the whole shebang of this competition. And as part of that, I got to brew at the time my beer out at 3rd Street. So they had like a pilot system, and one of the guys that was big in Cloudytown Brewers was one of the brewers out at 3rd Street. Chris Lom, who was the brewer at Beaver Island for a while, worked out at 3rd Street at the time. And so anyways, it kind of all came together. And then Dave Hartley and Dan Seberg at the time were working on a concept for Dave's building and basically saw this happen. Some of the wives were at a mom's group meeting talking about it and basically hooked all of us up, and the rest is history. So March 2014, we basically decided to give it a go and open July of 2015. Here we are almost 9 years later. So
That's crazy how fast that went.
I think the thing to me that's kind of cool is when you go in there, you have the map on the wall with all the pins of where people are coming from.
You've had to restart it.
we had to restart it, yeah, because the Minnesota one was about to fall off the wall. It had so many pins in it. So that one's back in storage now, and we got the big United States one.
Where's the farthest patron travel from specifically to come visit you?
I think there's been a number from like Thailand and Taiwan that we've had pinned on there. I mean, it's worldwide. We've had people, Sweden, Finland, things like that. They're visiting, family in the area or just traveling through and stop in. It's pretty crazy.
That's awesome.
We actually have quite a few from Germany because of the Sand Implements company, which they're based in Germany, so they'll have techs and stuff over, and it's kind of fun. They'll stop in and drink the Kolsch.
They love beer.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely, that they do. So
Probably more than your average Joe.
Yep, 100%.
That's pretty cool.
100%.
We had touched on, when you walk in there, the atmosphere that's there. One thing that every time I'm there, I think is just crazy is, you walk into any restaurant, bar here in town, and you're going to see most of the people there, you're going to recognize that they're local people.
Are you saying it's like Cheers?
It's like Cheers.
I knew where you were going.
You walk into the brewery, and I would say over half of the people there, or at least over half the people there, are not from Annandale.
Yep.
And you can always it sounds super small town to be able to say you can walk into a place and go, oh, you guys aren't locals. But it's kind of funny how people, and I've just chatted up random people there. Where are you from?
Where are you guys from? Yep.
Oh, and they'll be like from like an hour and a half away. What brought you to town? This. People travel for a long ways specifically to go check out a good brewery.
Yep. I was going to say the breweries have just like garnered such a culture of people who literally just travel around brewery to brewery and check them off the list.
Absolutely.
Oh, there's the passport and all that.
Exactly. There's a lot of the beer passports, the punch cards, the things like that we're involved in, and that gives incentive for them to travel. Absolutely. But yeah, you're not wrong. It's like,
so I said check off a list like jokingly, not knowing that there was actually a legitimate list.
There's absolutely lists out there.
Big deal.
Not a beer guy. I don't know these things.
You hit the nail on the head. Yeah.
No, and it's amazing because I feel like there was around when you guys started, it seemed like there was breweries popping up everywhere, and
I feel like they still are.
They still are, but
they've definitely slowed down.
They slowed down.
Yep.
But the thing I've noticed, and you hear from a lot of people, is that you go to a lot of those breweries, and they'll have a pretty wide selection, but otherwise, so many of them they'll have like 8 beers, but 4 are IPAs, and then they'll have a couple of other random ones mixed in there, where they all still somewhat kind of taste similar.
Right.
And
so now you're talking my talk. All beer tastes the same to me.
Well, you go like certain breweries you'll go into and you'll try a few of them and you're like, you keep getting like the same vibe.
Yeah, did they just rename it? Yeah, is it the same.
And they're all just a slightly different flavor.
Was it called a flight when you get like the little
little
bigger than shot glass
tasters? Yep.
But the thing that you hear so often about your brewery is that you can pick essentially anything off the menu. You're getting a fully great beer with each one, and then it's not just kind of let's try this, and you kind of whipped it together. It's not like
it's a very distinct difference between one and the next.
And they're not like, they're all so well done. That's what's it's a very common thing you'll hear.
I almost feel like he's trying to get himself some free beer out of this.
I don't blame him.
Just a hunch. Just a hunch.
It's great. I love it.
He's got a little brown mark right here.
It's one of my
asking why I didn't have samples in the very beginning.
I came in hot. I'm sorry.
I wanted beer. No. Hey, my favorite spots in town: Kaz Hardware, Spill Grain. I mean, that's
There you go.
we got good beer and we got tools and stuff.
I'd throw Billy D's on the list because they got really good lunch.
They do have
That
really
is
good
true.
lunch. That Crooked
Yep.
Tavern burger.
Yep, that's
Yep.
my go-to.
Yep.
That's good.
Yep.
And best cheese curds in
Yeah.
the state.
Well,
Okay, well, in the area,
town for sure. Yeah.
We'll give town. Yeah,
They are extremely solid.
they're solid.
Love you, Andy.
we're not brown nosing for free food either.
But if we have you on, we could take some Crooked Tavern burgers and cheese curds.
Yeah, if Andy, you get on here, you better bring some samples with you.
No, I think it's pretty awesome that you can have such a successful thing like you do, that just started from your garage, as all great businesses do, right? They all start in a garage.
Mine started as a brain fart and just kind of went from there.
That's all right too.
Which is probably the same with the one in the garage.
And events.
Kind of to build on that a little bit. So you started in garage. Obviously, we've gone over that. You have a very successful situation that you're in right now.
Yep.
What does the future hold? Because you can only expand so much in that building.
Yep.
You can only really have so many awards other than piling them on top of each other.
Yeah.
Are
So
you actually going to do this expansion
yeah.
this
so,
time?
So what time are we wrapping up? Because I got to run to planning and zoning at whatever time that is tonight.
This is 6 o'clock.
So we are working on basically adding on to the building just from a manufacturing standpoint, just so we can have some more cooler space, have some storage, have some more warehouse space, just to kind of ease up the congestion that we have. And then something the way we've always approached it is, when we got open, we've always been good about, hey, it'd be fun to add this now. So we put, new lighting in, we brought new tables in, we updated the patio, we put the fireplace in. We've always tried to do like something every year just to kind of add to the building, add to the atmosphere, do something new.
You got to reinvest before you go under.
Yeah, absolutely. You just keep adding on and offering different things. So, kind of to Matthew's point, when people come in with the beer rotation, it's like, oh, there's a new beer on tap, or there's 4 different beers from when I was here last time.
Oh, it's brighter.
It's brighter. Yep, it's brighter now because we added some lights and, we updated the projector. So we, got a big screen for Vikings games and Twins games. And
NDSU games.
NDSU games, yep, exactly.
Which I think will have a much higher following now that there's a local athlete that's going to be playing there.
That's that was pretty cool to see that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Congratulations to him. That's awesome. He's going to do fantastic there. So, but yeah, so we've always tried to do that. Just kind of slowly reinvest and add things and additional seating outside and
How
patio.
big of an expansion are you looking at doing?
So it's going to be on the north side. I don't remember the exact dimensions, but 30 by 60 or something like that. So we'll be
pretty
able to-
good size.
Pretty good size. And like I said, it's mainly going to be cooler space. So we're going to up the number of taps we have. So we're at 14 beers right now. We'll be able to go to 20 with the new cooler. So we can have some more styles, have some more beers on a regular basis. And
So one thing that I was in there for that I thought was pretty comical. You got 14 beers on tap. You got somebody who's never been there before, and they stand there like a deer in headlights. Like, what in the world am I going to get? So talking them through it, I'm sure, is a non-scripted like novel of what each one is, what it's supposed to go like, and how it tastes like, or whatever.
Yep.
Do you get to see that side of it much, or are you more in the back?
So I definitely do. And so when we have new employees, especially, like I will sit down with them, especially if they, like we try to look with new employees, we try to look for some serving experience if possible, just because you want to be able to have
Makes
that,
sense.
rapport with customers. But we don't expect them to
Know all the styles.
Know all the styles, be super into craft beer. I mean, obviously it helps if they like beer. I mean, we have had a few employees that have been extremely good employees, but just weren't big beer drinkers. That's fine. And so I will sit down with them and talk through styles. The way I always approach that with somebody, and it is kind of a rare thing that I'm behind the bar, but if somebody comes up and they're kind of deer in headlights, I always ask them, what do you normally drink? Like what style? And I'm lucky because I have that. If they mention a beer, I've probably heard of it or I know the style. And so I can kind of dial that in. But 99% of the time you ask that, it's going to be a very macro type beer. I usually drink Coors Light. I usually drink Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. I like Surly Furious. It's going to be a beer that most people have heard of. Oh, okay, you like that? Try this. And then we'll just give them, a little sample shots and be like, okay, yeah, I like that. Or you can kind of walk them into what they want. We're more than happy to, help them find a beer that they prefer and like. And
Well, of course. Otherwise, they're not going to buy more.
Exactly. And then we'll always suggest, if you're hemming and hawing between two, get a flight, and then you can try a couple others, and you're not super invested in it because it's just 20 ounces,
Oh,
4
just get a
10 ounce.
growler of each and go away.
And there are those people too, and we appreciate them.
Well, the amount of houses that I get into and see your growlers all over the
bet.
place, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's and the growlers. I mean, so our state has a really weird. It's such strange rules. Like the
Actually,
fact that,
let's go back one step real quick for those who are not as educated on what an actual growler is.
Yeah.
Big old glass bottle that, how much does it hold?
64 ounce, so
There you
half
go.
a gallon. Yep.
Half a gallon
Half
of
a
beer
gallon.
in a big glass bottle that you could bring back and refill.
and
Absolutely.
you can only sell those if you produce less than how many?
It's less than 3,500 barrels a year.
Okay.
So, and actually, I take that back. That was the case until just recently. They actually upped that dramatically. So, what 3,500 is actually brew pubs. So think of like
So is that 3,500 per that particular beer or total?
total for brew pubs. So think of like Granite City Food and Brewery or something like an actual brew pub that has a restaurant on site. They have a full liquor license. They can do other stuff. For breweries, it's now $250,000. It used to be 20,000 barrels a year was the limit for off sale.
They didn't
That's
just
a
kind of
big
update it.
jump. Oh, Lord.
Well, and that was because there were only 4 breweries in the state that were excluded. It was Castle Danger, and they made a lot of noise about it, and rightly so. And then it was Surly, Shells, and Summit. Those were the 4 in the state that basically couldn't sell off sale because of that 20,000 barrel limit. So when they did the update 2 years ago, they basically jumped it to 250,000 barrels, which is
you won't touch that anytime
Shells
soon.
won't
That's
be.
insane.
Shells is 140 a year. They're the largest in the state,
Yeah.
and so they're nowhere close to it, and they probably never will touch it.
Are they considered a craft brew?
Yep. They are the second oldest craft brewery in the nation behind Yingling out of Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. Yep, 1860.
They have good beer.
They have
So going
fantastic
back
beer.
to the pub brew, you guys don't have a restaurant.
Correct.
But you guys do a really good job of having a rotating set of food trucks outside
Yep.
that have, just about every kind of different food I've seen out there at one point or another.
Yeah, we definitely. Again, Anastasia does a great job of scheduling those, and we've hemmed and hawed about adding some food options because we can, as long as we just still serve our own product. We can also serve food to a certain extent beyond our prepackaged stuff, but in the summer, it's so great to have the rotating variety of food trucks that we have, kind of from that early April through October.
I think
depending
that
upon
setup
weather.
you have is fantastic because that's one less thing you have to worry about.
is one less thing.
Arranging it is one thing, staffing, equipment,
Yep.
all that.
Yep. We all know
probably
staffing
just-
and stuff is a challenge.
I'd probably just leave it as food trucks.
Yep. And it works great. And
And there is certain rules too, like you can't serve food at a brewery. Isn't there some sort of rule on like you can't serve it at the same spot or something?
no, so that you might be thinking it's more actually like distilleries. So like distilleries and breweries can't be in the same space. But with the Surly law that went into effect in 2011, breweries can have full kitchens.
Okay.
So we don't have the space really for it.
Yeah.
And obviously commercial kitchens are expensive.
Not cheap, yeah.
Not cheap.
And like you
so,
said, like you said, staffing. and all
But
that.
that's the reason if you ever do go down to like Surly or a lot of the breweries in the Twin Cities, they will have a kitchen off to the side, and that's
They had one in Monticello, and I'm trying to, is it Nordic Brewery
Nordic.
up there?
So they're actually a brew pub.
Okay.
Yep. So they're a brew pub where they make their own beer on site, but they also have food and a full liquor license.
Okay.
So you can go there, but then they can't distribute, and they're limited to that 3,500 barrels a year. Although that's a lot of beer. So brew pubs have some additional
also
restrictions on them.
they can't sell their beer.
Correct. You will never see their beer in a liquor store or on tap anywhere else. They can only, but I could sell a keg to them and put our beer on tap there because they have a full liquor license. So it's kind of some give and take depending on what you're looking for.
Okay.
Slightly off topic, but California runs the same way with some of their places. Like my sister used to work at a place in Newport right on the boardwalk, and they did not have a full liquor license, so they couldn't have vodka, for example.
Sure.
Would they do setups?
But they brewed their own. They made their own vodka, which was, I think, technically considered organic or something like that.
Sure.
It was just a little bit of a workaround. Boy, that stuff was still punching in the mouth, though. There's no joke about that. But it's kind of funny how there's like certain particular areas have rules and everybody adapts, adjusts, and figures it out much like you guys have and they have and everything else.
Yeah, Minnesota is definitely one of the odder states when it comes to liquor laws. You know, we get asked on a fairly regular basis, somebody will come back, love this, can I buy a keg? Nope. I can't sell that to you, and I can't even talk price because I would have to sell it to the liquor store first, who would then mark it up and sell it to you. So you have to request it kind of telephone way through a liquor store where there's other states where, yeah, I could sell a keg out the back door if I lived in Wisconsin or, you know, our business was there. So it's just kind of interesting how Minnesota is fairly restrictive when it comes to liquor laws, but they're starting to open up a little bit. So
A few different laws that are Minnesota specific that are weird.
And you guys do a lot of events.
We do.
You just had your Bachfest.
Yep.
Big
Couldn't have
success
asked for
again.
a nicer day.
Yeah, no kidding.
It was
Beautiful
gorgeous.
day. And you guys, we've done the what's that? What do you guys call it? The turkey trot or whatever.
Oh yeah, it's on like Halloween weekend.
Yeah.
Two things I don't do: drink beer and run.
Run. Go for the grain. Fun
Go
run.
for the grain.
Yeah,
There it
I had
is.
to sit and think
Yeah.
for a second there.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Fun
love.
run.
We laughed. We did that, and we pushed the stroller, and it was so non-official. It was great.
Yeah.
They're just like
Yep. Just a fun.
everybody's
run
like in the
walk.
parking lot, standing around. They're like, "All right, go." And then when you come back, there's no timer. There's no nothing.
Yep.
It's
Just
just
go have a good time.
go have fun.
That's the funny part about having us two as co-hosts on a show like this. We are like mentally somewhat similar, but everything else.
Polar
You
opposites.
got two tall, skinny, running, beer drinking. You got short, not skinny, don't touch beer. That's kind of fun.
Oh man.
If it wasn't fun, I'd have kicked him off the show a long time ago. But he's good stuff, and we enjoy it.
Well, thanks. Coming up, what do you got going on this year?
So I mean, we'll obviously have our big anniversary party again, Oktoberfest, all that type of fun stuff.
When's the anniversary party?
I think first weekend of August. Don't quote me on that. I think we're
I
setting the
won't
date
quote
here.
you on it. I just didn't know what time of year it
But
was.
yeah, yep. So we're July 23rd is our official anniversary date. So it's usually somewhere around that. We don't want to be too close to the 4th of July because it's obviously a big deal here in Annandale. So we like
You
to kinda,
think?
Yeah, just a little bit. We're just busy a few of those
Something
days.
going on that day?
Don't we like quadruple in size that weekend?
Yeah, something. That's what I've always heard. But so
Can't,
yeah, it'll
can't
be
use a Verizon cell phone to save your life that weekend.
that I can attest to. Yeah.
It's a reason why I went 18.
Pretty ridiculous. So, but yeah, I mean, other than that,
Your Oktoberfest is a big deal.
yeah, big deal. Yep. Usually,
I'm going to guess that's not in August.
No, September. So usually the third
Yeah,
weekend.
it's not in October.
Yep.
I know.
Yep. Third weekend of September is usually what we target. So, yeah, that's always a great time. So we got those things coming up. We'll have random other smaller events. We just did like a really fun beer and cheese event a couple weeks ago, which was well attended and a ton of fun.
That was with that like barley wine and stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was with our wheat wine,
Wheat
which, speaking of GABF, that's our 2-time GABF winner. But this was the 1,000th batch we had brewed at the brewery, and so that was the one we put in wine barrels. So we'd put it in a Chardonnay barrel and a Pinot Noir barrel. So it was the first barrel aging stuff we had done, and so we did a release with that.
I'm assuming those are wood barrels.
Yes, yep, actual wine barrels. Yep,
Okay.
previously used wine barrels.
Well, I seen somewhere, slightly off topic, but where you can purchase the barrels that like Jack Daniels was brewed in,
Yep.
which I think that would be kind of interesting to
Yep.
see if some of that flavor can make its way into.
And it absolutely does. So with the wine ones, I mean, it's especially the Chardonnay one. It's like, oh yeah, that's a white wine, and I'm not a wine drinker really, and Chardonnay especially, but in the wheat wine, it just balanced it beautifully, and it was a really fun beer to drink. That was probably one of my favorite ones we've done. And then right now we have the Bearded Man Old Ale in Russell's Reserve Rye 10-year barrels. So we bought those directly from. There's a broker that buys barrels from distilleries. And then we're like, yep, I'll take the Russell's Reserve 10 years. So I got those from, what was that, Wild Turkey that makes Russell's Reserve.
Cool.
And yep, so they're sitting in the back right now with Old Ale in them. They've been 9 months, 10 months with the beer in them.
How much longer?
So probably another 2 or so months. Will probably be right around a year when we kind of feel it. They're getting close. We pull it about every month or so and check it 2 weeks to a month.
What are you checking?
Basically for flavor component, because anytime you're dealing with oak and char, obviously on the inside of the barrel, because it held whiskey in it, at some point it's going to get too oaky and what we refer to as tannic, which if you've ever drank like a Merlot wine, that taste is tannic. That dry comes from the oak. So it's the oak tannins. You get too much of that, you can't take it out. And so we're constantly monitoring that to make sure the beer doesn't go too far past where we want it to, and that it's more balanced on the whiskey side and the beer side versus oak and tannic. So, yep,
It's fun.
good time.
I drink wine less than
Now I want a
drink beer. You are a dork. If
kind of
somebody,
always want a beer.
somebody would have brought a sample, you'd be set.
Right?
No, I just want another one.
Yeah, we'd be out by now.
Do you at least bring some tokens?
Who knows what we would have digressed into at this point.
I mean, it'd be some good viewership on that one, I bet.
Yeah, maybe we got to have an after hours podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, I can do some mobile stuff if I needed to. We just haven't yet.
Oh man. Well, I think it's been a lot of fun having you on. Hopefully, somebody listening learned some stuff. Yeah, Jacob, you've got a great thing there, and your team is awesome.
Well,
I
thank
think
you.
Your staff is always pretty helpful, and it's been fun having you on.
I appreciate it.
You're looking at me like I got something.
You got anything?
No,
All right.
no, we appreciate you being here. You know,
Anything you want to add?
No, just that, Annandale's been fantastic to us. We appreciate the support more than you guys can, imagine. And it's fun to be able to do this in this awesome little town. So yeah, we're very blessed to be able to do what we do.
only thing I got is a little plug. We need some guests. You guys shouldn't be so hard to find. Get a hold of me. Let's get you on here and talk some.
And in case anybody's listening that wasn't super familiar with the name, it's Spill Grain Brewery here in Annandale, right on 55. You can't miss it.
If you don't know it or where it is, you live under a rock.
That's true.
And if you live under a rock, hey, it's right on 55.
Crawl out, come to Annandale.
Right next to Petty Brothers. Go get some meat.
That's
get some beer.
another thing. Yeah, when you're sitting out on the patio there and they're smoking the meats.
Smoking going.
Oh,
That could be dangerous. Drinking
It's-
beer and getting hungry.
you're sitting on the patio and that's right. I need beef jerky.
All right. Well, Jacob, we appreciate you coming in.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
We wish you the best of luck in your future ventures.
Thank you much.
All right,
Thank you.
Take care.